All righty, we're going to give it a few seconds, wait for everyone to join. Let's see, maybe a few more seconds. Okay, it's 10:01. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the second joint webinar of an 8-part series with DeVry University. For those of you who have not met or do not know me, my name is Natalie Layton, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Chamber's Vice President of Membership. We have an excellent webinar today discussing how to build a career framework. So with that, let's get on with some brief housekeeping before I introduce our presenter. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and will be distributed to all registrants, our membership, and available on our YouTube page as well. Please feel free to use the raise hand or Q&A feature, which should be found at the bottom icon bar of your screen. Our presenter, Laura Knapp, will be able to answer questions at the very end of the webinar. And if you want to know more about membership in the Chamber, go ahead and shoot me a quick note in the chat box and I will follow up with you. Now I have the pleasure of introducing today's presenter, Laura Knapp. Laura is the Center Dean at DeVry University and its Keller Graduate School of Management in Long Beach, joining the school at the end of 2016. Laura is a Southern California native and longtime Long Beach resident, having lived in the Bixby Knolls and California Heights neighborhoods in Long Beach for over the past 20 years. She earned her Bachelor's of Arts at Cal State Long Beach and MBA at USC's Marshall School. She's a member of the Long Beach Rotary, the LB Chamber, Toastmasters, and is the current chair of the South Coast Higher Education Council, a consortium of Area 2 and 4-year universities. She's passionate about education, which helps equip graduates to make a difference in fast-growing sectors of the economy. Thank you so much for joining us again, Laura. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Oh my gosh, thank you, Natalie, for such a nice introduction. Thank you, Long Beach Chamber, for co-sponsoring these webinars, which will be going through the end of February. And thank you, audience. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I know it's crazy times, but we did want to put on this Building a Career Framework presentation just because I think the time is right. It's still January. Hopefully our New Year's resolutions are still intact and we remember them. We haven't forgotten them just yet. A lot of those New Year's resolutions I know are oftentimes about career growth and development. And I think 2021 is going to continue to be a year of evolution and change and just a chance to pivot if we've been thinking about it. It really is a time to take ourselves off cruise control. Let's just put it that way. And so I think having a career framework, whether you're in a really good career right now or not, maybe you're just, kind of in a job and kind of looking towards building out a career for the future, no matter where you are, I think this is relevant. I think it's always useful to have a career framework, right? To always be looking towards the future and understanding where we want to be in a year, 2 years, 3, 10 years, and investing in ourselves as well, right? In terms of our skills, in terms of our own self-knowledge, etc. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dive in. I want us to leverage chat. Please feel free to, don't save your questions to the end. You can certainly chat them to me as we go. I have the chat box open right now. So if you have any questions, any experiences, any best practices that you can share, I just want this to be more of a discussion per se, than a one, kind of me presenting to you. I want to hear from you. I think we'll all, gain value from that. Okay. All right, beautiful. So this is today's agenda. We're going to talk about literally building out a framework. I know we have our goals from New Year's resolutions and everything like that, but this is about putting a little bit more meat on the bones, I guess, and building out a true framework that will sustain us over time. We're going to talk about how to achieve success through consistent and relevant and time-bound action. And we're going to talk a little bit about personal branding as well, because I think The minute we start to understand what our brand is and what we want it to be and start taking a bit more control of that message, we gain more velocity in our careers. Okay, why? Because other people see what we want to achieve and they see what our strengths are, if that makes sense. So I know all of us are very how shall I say, very, very elevated, very aware. We probably have done some thinking about our personal branding. And I just want to say that, yeah, don't stop. We need to keep an eye on that always. I will start. Yes, I'm going to start with a question. You don't have to chat the answer though, because this is a little bit personal, maybe a little bit nosy, but I want you to think about it. Where are you? Where are you in your career right now? Are you truly on that path, right? That ultimate path that is going to take you where you want to go? Uh, or do you have a job? By job, I mean something we all want jobs. Having a job is it's a good thing, right? Puts food on the table, helps us to pay the bills. We're getting experience, from this job, but there's sort of a sense that it's maybe not going to be long term. Job planning is more short term. It's more reactive. It's more like, oh my gosh, I've just moved into the state, or I've just graduated from school. I need a job, or I am facing a layoff perhaps, or I need a job, right? So it's reactive, it's short term, there's a quick turnaround, in terms of getting that job. And while we are gaining, experience, sometimes that job ends up, helping us, into our career, and sometimes not, sometimes not. Sometimes it is something that we have to, kind of pivot into a career. Okay, career planning is long term, it's proactive, right? If we're working in a large organization or with an entity, that we want to continue with and grow with, we want to align, our career with the goals of the organization. Okay. So career planning is a bit longer term, and it's something that sometimes does go by the wayside. Why? Why would career planning go by the wayside? I'm just going to ask you to go ahead and in the chat, let me know. And yes, if you want to speak, I think you're all on mute. If you would like to speak, you can raise your hand and we'll take you off mute. And I would love to, hear your voices. And but certainly in the chat, let me know or maybe in your own experience, why has career planning lagged? I have a few ideas. So if you're feeling shy this morning, some of the rationale that this would go by the wayside is because we're comfortable, right? We're in our comfort zones. Maybe we have a job, or maybe we're in our career, but we still have goals, right? We still have a vision for the future. We're thinking, we'd love to grow in this or that direction, but we're comfortable, right? The bills are getting paid. We're making a decent amount of money, right? We love our colleagues, what have you. We're comfortable and we're busy, right? We're busy. Who has time for all of that extracurricular investment, in ourselves? We're busy, putting that food on the table. We're busy with our job or career. It's tough to kind of take the time to invest in ourselves and our careers. Okay, that's why the whole industry of career coaching is so big. People will pay an advisor, to help them kind of get some focus and get an action plan going. Okay. Yeah, you get caught up. Definitely, you just get caught up in the day to day, and the 40 hours all of a sudden is 50 hours, and there's stuff to do on the weekends, and it gets very busy. But my argument, and I guess my, what I'm saying is career planning, it should be lifelong, right? It's not a one and done. Oh, I did my career planning, once I graduated from school, and I have it, or I had hired an advisor a couple years back, and I do have a plan. I don't know if I'm working it exactly, right? Because it's easy for that plan to gather dust if we're not kind of thinking about it and working towards it on a regular and consistent basis. Okay. So career planning it's also a very internal as well as external, exercise, internal and external. You can't do it without a lot of you can't do it without introspection, but it's not just introspective, right? There has to be action and there has to be engagement with the outside world. I'd like to ask you right now, okay, and feel free to chat. Who of you, and I found that some people are really good. They have this clear, crystallized vision of how they see themselves, what they see themselves doing in a year, 2 years, 3 years. Let's just keep it at, 3 years out. Okay. Who of you has a really super crystal clear vision of where you want to be in the future? And who of you are maybe like, oh my gosh, it's a bit cloudy. I keep changing my mind. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't spent much time lately, but I know that I need to have a vision for the future, but I just, it's a bit cloudy, a bit murky still, right? Hard to say. And I know we're all adults, right? We're all grown-ups, and we're on this path. But again, super important to, keep an eye on that path and make sure that we're consistently working, in the direction that we want to be, because one day we can wake up and say, oh my gosh, this is actually not really, what I wanted to do, for the long run, but it's been paying the bills and so on and so forth. And certainly we can always pivot. I pivoted actually 4 years ago from working in business development at Dow Jones and with other organizations to going into higher ed. And it was a long time into my career. It was definitely mid-career, if not a little bit past, that midway point, right? But I decided, look, I really had always wanted to be in higher ed, and I don't know what happened. I got that job, right? And it pushed me into sort of, a very good direction. I got a lot of great experience that I was able to use in my current, right, in my current career. So I'm not saying it was all for naught, but at the same time, it is important, I think, to keep a handle, right, on our career planning. So who of you, okay, cloudy. All right, honest. Yeah, cloudy. Hard to say. Sometimes we do have a clear vision and it strikes us. And then the next day, maybe doubt creeps in and we're like, oh, not sure, let me start over. So let's just do a quick exercise. Okay, whether you have a very clear vision or not, this maybe confirms your vision for the future, but if it's cloudy, I want you to think in terms of activities, right? Because a career is made up of what? Of doing stuff, right? And we can have all of these visions of the future, but really a career and work, it's doing things, it's activities. So what activities do you love to do? What do you like to do on a daily basis? What do you see yourself doing in the future? If you could do more of today, you would be really happy. What day-to-day activities do you love and do you see yourself doing more of in the future? Okay. Being creative every day. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Organization, organizing things, making sense of things, putting structure into things. What activities? What events? Okay. If you're putting on events, right? And I know the chamber does this all the time. What kind of events? And what role do you play in pulling off those events? What events do you like to participate in if you're an employer, or because of your entrepreneurial, your small business, you have to attend events? What kind of events are those? Right? Right. Hopefully one's in person. Yeah. Thank you, Natalie. That is funny. Hopefully one's in person, right? Love virtual. Absolutely. But it's nice to have that opportunity to connect with people in person. And it sounds like Natalie is probably a people person. She wants to connect with people through these events. What kind of people? Oh, yeah, hugging the mayor. Okay. Oh, yes. That's awesome. Yes, those feel good events where we, see our elected officials and get that good vibe, and we can actually, yeah, pull off a real hug and not a virtual cyber hug. Oh my gosh. Fingers crossed, knock on wood, and fairy dust all around that we'll get there soon. Yeah, what kind of people? So Marilyn, she wants to, hang out with the mayor. Yeah, what kind of people? What kind of people do we want to be around? Creative types, engineers, right? I think it's important to understand what kind of people, what kind of groups give us energy, right? Where do we have natural gifts and talents to help, to help certain segments of the community, right? Let's try to connect those dots. Energy. I know we're all very energetic people, but do you like and appreciate a quieter energy at work or working from home? You love work from home. You want to continue that even post pandemic, hopefully? Or do you want to definitely get back into the office and be with upbeat people and, kind of have that energy back and forth, with people? Do you not mind being in a chaotic situation because you can make sense of it? You're that person who thrives off of, shades of kind of areas of gray and chaos and confusion. You're making, right? You're making sense out of that confusion. Or that can be overwhelming for you, right? And you would rather have an office, you'd rather have the opportunity to work from home so that you can tap into your own internal energy and be creative that way. Okay. There's no right or wrong. These are just our personalities, right? And we're all given a set of gifts and talents that I truly believe we're meant to invest in and unfold. Okay. So thinking about activities, events, people, and energy is a good way to kind of get that forward focus moving and clarified. Okay. Hopefully that vision, Marilyn, is maybe a little bit more clear. So if we have that vision for the future, that point B in time, that destination point, whether it's going to be a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, hopefully we're honing that vision and we can see something emerge. Okay, where we want to be. Well, where are we now, right? Let's look at point A and point B and understand that map. Let's put together a map. Okay. What will it take to get there on any road trip or any, the explorers, right? Any road trip, any trip that we're using a map for. Okay. Any journey that we need to use a map for, we need resources, right? We're going to need resources along the way. What is it literally going to take to get to that point B, right? And are we willing, are we able, do we have those resources? Do we have the support structure? And if not, it's often, resources versus time. Sometimes we don't have the resources to whatever, take some class or take up some new program or something like that. But with time, maybe we have more resources, right? So getting a sense of what it takes to get from point A to point B is going to be important. And we're going to put this in writing. We're going to put our goals in writing. We probably already have, right? Again, it's the new year still. Hopefully you have that jotted down somewhere and it's not, lost or hidden or forgotten about. You have written down your goals, hopefully by now. Okay. And writing down those goals, very important. I would say it's the first step towards fleshing out that plan, that successful career plan. And we're going to go through these 4 different steps or approaches towards putting that framework together. I call it REPA. REPA, okay, reflect. We're going to reflect, we're going to explore, we're going to plan with timelines, okay? We're going to use SMART goals, and we're going to take action. Okay, so we're digging a bit deeper. We're going deeper than just having a list, a to-do list. Okay. And if you have your journal, if you have, something to write down with, or you have, maybe you use, maybe you have something online, an app that keeps you organized, feel free to take notes, okay, during this session, because most of the work is going to be done obviously outside of the session. This is, less than an hour. Presentation or discussion. And so please do take notes and think about how you're going to apply, these approaches to your own life and your own career development, starting with reflection. And I mentioned in the beginning that, career development, it's internal and it's external. It's both. It's an internal game as well as, we got to get outside ourselves too, to connect with people and to connect with opportunities, etc. Okay. But it does start, I would like to say, with introspection. And last week, if you were on the webinar, we talked a lot about, taking assessments like the Clifton Strengths Finder assessment, all of those free and premium online assessments that are out there. Myers-Briggs, there's the DISC assessment that goes towards communication skills. There's so many personality preference assessments that are out there. And again, I think it is very important to don't just leave it at one. Take a few, because they each have a different lens and a different, they're each going to tell you something a little bit different about yourself. Why is it so hard sometimes to understand what our natural talents are, and to tap into them, right? I think if we all knew and truly understood what our talents were, we'd all be out there, we wouldn't be having this webinar, right? There wouldn't be a career development industry. We'd all know exactly, what we were good at, and we'd be applying, those talents. But according to Sir Ken Robinson, I don't know if you're familiar with him, he's a speaker and education guru. And he says, natural talents are akin to natural resources. right? You don't know they're there unless you've explored, unless you've spent time and money through that, exploration process. Think of, oil. Think of, I don't know, diamonds, gold, any sort of natural resource takes time and energy and technology to bring forth, right? And to apply and to use productively, those resources. Same with discovering our natural and tapping in to our natural talents. Oftentimes those talents are just below the surface. They're latent. We don't know they're there. And it's a gift that we have that we're not using. Okay. So these assessments allow us, especially the Clifton strengths, allow us to see what those strengths are so that we can start uncovering them and honing them and investing in them so that they become, true strengths and things that we can rely upon and apply productively in our career. Okay, so it's very, very important to understand where our strengths and talents are. Okay, through self-assessment, also understanding our passions. This is common. People always say, just follow your passion. Just follow your passion. And Simon Sinek is so funny. He said, his friends, when he was in, this exploratory phase early on in his career, he kept hearing, just follow your passion, you'll be good. And he was like, that's so unhelpful. I don't, I have many passions. I don't know how to connect them, right, to career. And that said, it is important to understand what those passions are, but I think it starts with self-assessment and the two feed into each other, understanding your talents. You're going to say, oh my gosh, that's why I'm so passionate about X, because I'm so, naturally gifted in Y, right? It kind of goes together. They're pieces of the puzzle. Your values, we all have a set of principles, and moral and ethical values that we hold dear. And understanding these and acknowledging these are very important to make sure that we get involved in a career path in an organization where our values are aligned. Research shows that the more our values are aligned to our career and our work, our life's work, the more job satisfaction there is. So understand and recognize those values, right? And follow them. Your motivators, what gets you up in the morning? Again, is it economic gain, right? It's the paycheck, right? Is it something beyond that? It's creating something, making something out of nothing, putting together an event, right? Is it impacting the community? You don't care what they pay you, really, as long as you can pay your bills. You'd rather be making an impact with whatever, the environment, with the homeless, with whatever, um, saving animals. What are the motivators that get you out of bed in the morning? Okay, very helpful tip. People back in the day used to create vision boards. I don't know if we're still doing that, but you know what? You can do it digitally. Vision board is very easy. You can just browse online all those beautiful images, right, out there on Pinterest and everywhere else. And you just take a snapshot of them, you put them in a collage. If you're at all handy, with a PC or with your phone, you can quickly make a collage of visual elements that remind you, that jog your memory, that remind you who you are and what you want. And you can save that as a picture, right? And put it as a backdrop or screensaver on your phone or on your PC, right? Or print it out old fashioned, put it on your refrigerator. Back in the day, we used glue and magazines pages, and we would do this on campus sometimes with the Honor Society. It was an activity that was fun to do, but really digital is much easier and definitely possible during these COVID times. So vision board, right? Especially for you that are very visually kind of oriented, visual learners. Okay, so we've done the reflection, hopefully. We've talked about reflection. I want you to think about more ways you can reflect upon yourself outside of this webinar. Next step is exploration. So we have an idea of where we want to go. We're tapping into who we are. Now it's time really to confirm our assumptions by doing the external work that I talked about. Okay, so we're moving from an introspective to an outside. We're looking around us to see what tools and resources are out there for us to do a little bit more exploration into what we want to achieve. Okay, what are some tools and resources that I guess you all have used in the past? I'll open it up to all of you, tools and resources that can be helpful to you to just confirm your assumptions or learn more about your career path, right? About your proposed career path. Coursera, exactly. Yes. Oh my gosh, Coursera is great. There's LinkedIn Learning. If you're a premium subscriber on LinkedIn, I guess it's free. There's so much amazing content out there on LinkedIn. Lately, I've been binging YouTube. I don't know. I guess speak for myself, but yeah, I've been binging on YouTube lately. Just all the motivational, especially now, right? With COVID and I'm, home a little bit more. It's a great way to stay motivated and to learn new things, right? And to learn new things. So another great thing, yeah, getting lost in Google searches, just any sort of research, any sort of research. Job postings, right? If you're thinking, gosh, someday I would like to work, at the mayor's office, or I would like to find work that, I would like to pivot my career into something that I'm more passionate about. It all starts with an Indeed job search in a way too. Take a look at those job listings. What is the pay? What are the requirements? What are the skills? What are people looking for? Right? Review job postings, either externally or if you're with an organization that you want to grow with, look at those internal job postings. Where are they? When's the last time you've looked at them? Okay. Training. We've talked about Coursera and YouTube and all the other, LinkedIn Learning. Okay. According to, I guess this is a former CEO of LinkedIn, Jeff Weiner. He had said that really the biggest gap that he was seeing was in soft skills. Okay. And I know in the United States and even at DeVry, we always talk about, the skills gap. People don't have the technical skills that they need, right, to succeed and for American industry to be strong. And maybe that's true. Soft skills is lacking as well. And I hear this from engineers. I hear this, from people in industry that sometimes it is the folks with a very excellent, training in those tough, technical STEM areas that may not have developed their communication skills. But I think no matter what industry we're in or what we've studied, soft skills, it's something that we can all learn, right? So soft skills training, as long as we're investing in that somewhere, somehow, Coursera, YouTube, LinkedIn, what have you, it's always something good, not only as an investment in ourselves, but it's going to open up new opportunities that we may not have known about. Okay. The more we're learning, the more we're engaging our brain, soft skills training, really any kind of training. Stretch assignments. Are there any assignments that you can take on that you can volunteer for? This is another way, another external way of gaining information. If you're interested in getting more involved in, something that's more aligned with your passion, right? Is there something at work or in a volunteer organization that you can take on voluntarily to learn more about that work? Okay. Right? If you want to become a better leader, where you are, is there anything that you can raise your hand for? Okay. So think about that. Are you prepared to ask for that assignment? Right? How do you approach it? So stretch assignments, mentor programs. Are there any mentor programs you can currently take advantage of at work, right? Or through your communities? Do you already have a mentor? I guess I'll ask who in our virtual room, who has a mentor currently or is mentoring someone? Who's involved in that mentorship process? Natalie, are you mentoring or you have a mentor? Ah, that's awesome. That is so cool. I think it's key to have mentors throughout, right? Throughout our careers. And to stay in touch with them and to constantly develop that relationship and not forget about them, right? And be grateful for them. Yeah, Natalie says very lucky. Absolutely. Who are our mentors? And if we haven't been in touch with our mentor lately, here we are, 2021. Let's be in touch. Let's develop and invest in that relationship. So exploration, just to reiterate and recap, exploration is really, part of that outside exploration that we want to do to test our assumptions, to see if we're on the right track, right? Because all those problems can't be solved in our head. Okay, they can't all be solved in our head, but sometimes that doubt comes up like, oh, this will never work because, and our own mind, gets us off track. And so the antidote to that is getting outside of ourselves and just participating, right, in our own career growth, whether that's taking on training or stretch assignments or talking with our mentor, finding a mentor, or just, looking at and maybe even applying. Who knows? Maybe applying or doing informational interviews is another way to gain more information externally, as opposed to just thinking about it too long and just relying on the Google searches and research. We want to get out there and have conversations with people. Okay, so that is, we've talked about, the reflect, the explore. Now we're going to talk about planning. So again, this is not a dream. We've talked about having a vision. We need to have a dream. We need to have a vision, but it's not a plan until we start to put down our goals. And Tony Robbins said, and goal setting is really the first step. It's really the first step of turning that invisible thing and making it visible, bringing it out into reality. So it's a plan. So we have to put together, our steps, our goals. And I highly recommend, and I know you're all familiar, hopefully this is not too much repeat or review. I know you all know SMART goals. Why? You're all very smart people. That's why. SMART goals, but it's so easy, even for very highly educated people, right? To sometimes forget these very easy techniques and accessible techniques that are out there for us to really turn, our vision into reality. SMART goals. Okay. What are SMART goals? Do a little, little quiz, little impromptu quiz. Anybody remember? What does SMART stand for? What's the SMART stand for? SMART goal setting. SMART goal setting. Anyone? Okay. Right. Okay. I'll go ahead and do the big reveal. And you're going to say, yes, totally. I remember this. Okay. SMART goal setting is making sure that your goals are specific, right? They're measurable, they're achievable, they're relevant, and they're time-based. Remember, you guys all know this. Okay, so specific, what specific? We want to be specific. Who, what, where, why, when? How are we going to achieve these goals? What are they? They have to be specific and not too pie in the sky. Measurable. They have to be measured in sort of units of achievement. How can we measure success? Well, getting a job with this title would be a measure of success. Make it measurable so when you've gotten there, right? And you can celebrate. Achievable. We do want to stretch ourselves, outside of our comfort zones, most definitely. But the goal should be achievable, right? We want to be able to feel like we're making progress and not fall into that spiral of like, oh my gosh, this is so not achievable, So achievable. And again, I like everything is achievable, right? Anything's possible. I always say, however, with time and resources, right? So make sure your goals are achievable within the time frame and given the resources that you currently have, right? Make sure that your goal is relevant. Sometimes we get sidestepped or sidetracked with goals that are really not relevant or really not necessary for our ultimate career paths. This is about really, it's kind of a time management thing, right? We have, a set number of hours during the day and the week, right? And if we're one of these very curious and highly intelligent people that just wants to learn everything, sometimes we can lose momentum and lose steam towards our future because really we're frittering away, on things that are not super relevant to the end goal. Okay, so are the goals truly relevant or are they a distraction? Okay, and then definitely time-based. Have to have a date and time, right? Has to be on the calendar. When do we want to see these goals achieved? Okay, by when? And you can chunk out, do midway milestones, right? Break down your goals, all your big goals into more achievable, right, chunks that each have a time frame. I found very super important to have a mentor. Another approach is to have an accountability group. Anybody involved in like an accountability group? right? Maybe you have a friend or colleague that you talk about career stuff with, and you meet on a regular basis to check in on each other and see how you're progressing against your goals. There's nothing like having to kind of report report back that makes things happen, even if that's happening like the night before you meet, because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm meeting with so-and-so. Let me make sure, that I've sent my resume out 12 times or whatever. Right. Okay. Yeah. Yes. It's super well. Yeah. Super done. A lot with fitness. I guess accountability partners with fitness. Big, big thing. My son, yeah, has a workout partner. They're working out via Zoom, whatever, but they keep each other accountable, and they are achieving their fitness goals. So if we think about career, yes, if we think about career as being as important as our fitness, right? Same idea, very same idea. And so maybe finding an accountability partner, somebody else who is interested in moving their career forward or maybe changing, pivoting, getting in touch with that person, saying, why don't we just meet once a month, every other week, what have you, every 3 weeks. Let's just touch base. Here are my goals. What are your goals? What's been successful, what's not. Sometimes they can give you, right, feedback on, maybe any blind spots that you may have and vice versa. Okay, so somebody you trust. Okay, so SMART goals. I just have a couple of like examples of goals versus SMART goals, and maybe you guys can think of some as well. But let's say your goal is to become seen as a leader, where at your place of employment, at your work, you want to be seen as more of a leader. So that's a goal. That's a good, very good goal. How are we going to achieve it? How do we make that SMART? How do we make that a SMART goal? One way would be to say, I will volunteer, right? I will get involved in, let's say, a minimum of 2 strategic projects that are going on at my place of employment. Maybe there's a new diversity team, or maybe there's, a team working on, I can't think of an example, but we want to find projects at work that would allow us to learn from other people that are expert in the areas where we want to grow, maybe strategic planning, maybe financial planning, right? So we want to get involved in these projects. So my goal is to volunteer, right, for 2 projects over the next 12 months. Let's give ourselves time. I think that's realistic. And work with the colleagues around us and work with people maybe in a higher role than we are. And by the end of that exercise, have at least 2 or 3 people in a higher position than ourselves able to vouch for our leadership capabilities and the work that we've done, right? And able to either, kind of become our mentor or be somebody that we can have a recommendation letter from, or somebody who can recommend us on LinkedIn. You know what I mean? So if you want to be seen as a leader, I would chunk it out that way. You have a time frame, there's 1 year, there's 2 projects, and you want to sort of get to know or network with 2 or 3 leaders in order to get, right, their recommendation of you, if that makes sense. Okay. Trying to think of another example. I want to get a new job. I would like to work for a nonprofit. I'd like to work for a nonprofit involved in animal rescue, or something around animal rescue. Okay. So sounds good. Sounds like a very good goal, but again, how do we make it SMART? How do we make that SMART? I'll ask for ideas from the audience. Right. I'll ask for ideas from the audience. Again, it's going to be around time frame. It's going to be how to get into that role. Are there resumes that need to be sent out? Are there associations that I could be joining and networking with people, right? How many? By when, essentially. Okay, so let's make our goals, our career goals, always very specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. Okay, hopefully a good review for you all. All right, so we've talked about reflection, exploration, basically putting a plan in place with action items. Okay, Ripa, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about kind of personal branding. Okay, and I mentioned at the beginning, if we have our brand aligned, with our talents, and if it's connected with, kind of our goals, it gives us more velocity in a sense. Why? It's just that alignment. I think it's the alignment. It's telling the world that we know what our skills are, that we know what our talents and strengths are. This is what we're good at. This is what we're doing. Letting the world know that it just comes across so much more authentic. Kind of trying to make our brand about something that we're not it's just, I don't know. It's not as valuable as really tapping into your strengths and talents and leading with those strengths and talents in your own brand and making sure that those strengths and talents are relevant, right, to the people that you want to be working with, and to your own career development. Does that make sense? Hopefully not too long-winded. What do you see on the screen? Two images here. Two images of different, yeah, exactly. Yeah, different technologies, different technologies. I guess the Polaroid is making a comeback, but it's certainly not like it used to be. It's very nichey. My daughter has one. They're cool, super cool to have that tangible photo. They're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Everything is smartphone and, having those photos on the phone, it's changed so much from back in the day. And it's really about staying relevant, staying relevant. It's innovating. It's giving people what they want. I think it was very novel to be able to have a camera in your pocket, right? When Apple or whoever, first came up with this, very novel, very innovative, and it tapped into something that people wanted and could use. Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't have to, buy film and make sure to bring my camera. I forgot my camera. No, it's on your phone. It's in your pocket. It's brilliant. So this becomes a more relevant technology. Apple and Samsung and everybody else have tapped into this need, right? And I guess Kodak and Polaroid have, fallen by the wayside or become very, very much niche products. Anybody think of any other brands that have lost, kind of lost their relevance over time? That have lost their relevance over time? Oh my gosh, yeah, technologies that have lost their, yeah, VCR is gone. Blockbuster, oh my gosh, gone by the wayside. They weren't staying, and they could have, my daughter and I always think, they could have stayed relevant. They could have done something, but they were just a little bit too slow, a little bit too late, maybe a lot too late. Netflix took over. No more Blockbuster, gone. You know, oh, what was the social media platform back in the day? MySpace. MySpace. I had a MySpace account way long time ago, and I gather it's still I don't know if people still use it, honestly. It became more for the entertainment industry, and I don't know if it's still there. But anyway, what happened? Yeah, what happened to VCRs and MySpace? Yeah, technology changes, but so long as a company, you think of Apple, they had these huge, big, boxy, computers back in the day, but they continued to innovate and really stay in tune with what the marketplace wanted and needed, right? And we're delighted by in a way. And I don't want to sound too crass or commercial, but we want to make sure our brand and our own personal development, kind of connects with what's relevant out there, right? And what the marketplace, whether we want to work for a large organization or a large nonprofit or government entity, right? Or we want to start our own business, okay? Staying relevant and making sure our personal brand is very relevant, super important. Okay, bottom line, what do you want people to associate with your name? You want them to see you as, excellent event planner, very high level relationship building skills, right? What are your strengths and talents that you want to be known for, right? Top notch problem solver, Oh my gosh, what else? Yeah, strong work ethic. Thank you. Being driven, hard worker, staying attuned, always meeting deadlines, if not coming in before deadline, making things happen through hard work and that work ethic. Okay. So, first and foremost, make sure that, these things that you want to be seen for, that they truly are kind of in your character, right? There's certain things that I wish I were really known for, but I'm not, because truly they're not my strengths. So it's probably better for me, at least according to Clifton Strengths Finder, again last week, just drop those. That's okay. Because I do have talents and strengths that with, the right cultivation, you know, can lead me in different directions and help me solve problems at different organizations. I don't have to be everything to everyone. None of us do, right? We don't all have to be everything to everyone. Maybe I wish I were more organized. I'm not. Maybe that's an opportunity for me, but I'm not going to say that I'm the most organized person in the world on my resume. Because that's just is gonna be too hard, and I'm gonna be disappointing too many people. So, what are our strengths? What are our talents? What do we want to be known for? Make sure those are aligned, and start to lead with those strengths at work and in your career, and weave that in somehow, right? As you communicate your strengths to your teams and to your upline and via your resume, via your LinkedIn profile, weave in those power words. Okay, weave in examples of projects that really showed off your talents and strengths. Okay. Start to align, start to take a little bit more control over that personal brand, overtly, by working on it and by making sure, your best foot is being put forward when you communicate your strengths and talents in interviews, and how you describe yourself on paper as well. Now, again, if we're interested in progressing in the organization, working at the city, I would like to get, X job, or by next year, I would like to be in Y role, okay, or private organization, or again, nonprofit, or wherever, you would like to be, wherever you're working now or wherever you'd like to be, you want to understand what their goals are, their business challenges, what they find very important, what their values are, what their needs are. And do your strengths and what you're known for, does that juxtapose? Is there, or I guess I would say, where is that intersection? Because I'm sure you'll be able to find an intersection. And what you're going to want to do is consider that, that sweet spot of your personal brand. And this is what you want to communicate the next time you're up for an interview, the next time you're talking with your manager, your boss. You're going to want to connect your strengths with their needs, right? Basic. I have these strengths, but they are relevant. We talked about relevance. They are relevant to, my future trajectory. It's what's needed to help me gain velocity towards that future role. Okay, so strengths, knowing where that intersection is with the organization's needs, and if you're a small business person, right, you're putting together a small business, right, it's knowing the needs of, kind of your customers or your marketplace, and connecting those dots. It's also about, I think, your brand, your strategic brand, and what you communicate. Also, you need to communicate your aspirations. Okay. We are not static human beings, and sometimes it's a little bit boring to talk only about the past and what we've done and achieved. People want to see that proof. They want to see the resume. They want to see, they want you to tell examples of what you've achieved in life. Let them know also your aspirations. So here it is important to have that vision in place, a realistic vision, an achievable vision. Know your vision, know your goals, know your values, and be able to communicate them in a way that, again, speaks to the organizations or your future goals, needs and wants, and also that they're aligned with your own strengths. Right? I want to achieve something that I know I'm, strong at. It's not that I want to walk on the moon or something very far-fetched. My aspirations are really building on my strengths. And here's how they can help, the organization, or help me to build my small business, right? Mission and vision. Okay. So, yeah, social media is key. It's not something, I guess, that we can ignore too much. I know most of us have our LinkedIn, profile up and running. It's been there for some time. Be part of the conversation, right? Be engaging, be relevant, right? Here's a quote: be engaging and relevant. Find out how people, are socializing and networking, I guess, in person, traditional way, but also in social media, and join that conversation. I'm more of an introvert. I like to look and, I love to like people's posts, but I think commenting on posts and being part of the conversation, is part of brand building. It's also part of the networking aspect of what we're, talking about. Okay, moving right along, and I'm starting to wrap up a little bit based on where we are in terms of time, 10:50. So I guess I'm just going to ask the audience, from all of these discussions and kind of ideas put forth, what's one thing or two things that maybe resonated with you that you would take out of this, that you would do, right? You joined this webinar, you're interested in career development. Let me be your little accountability group right now. What do you plan on doing, going out of this webinar? Because of course, and I think it was Dale Carnegie said, knowledge is not power. Actually, knowledge is not power until it is acted upon, right? Until it's used, right? Until there's action around that knowledge, right? So, okay, Marilyn, very good. Doing more research. Absolutely. Just spending the time, carve out the time, make the time, and give yourself a deadline, right? To do, to get that research started, let's say. So how will you take action? That's brilliant. Yeah. How will you take action? Jot it down, make a plan, put a time frame around it, for sure. I have a couple of other ideas for you, right? If you're not exactly sure, how to get started. You'll never go wrong by extending your network, okay? Extending your network, whether it's, people at your own place of employment or, people that work for companies that you would like to be a part of, extend your network, right? Let's make some new friends and contacts via social media and via real life too, via the chamber. How can we extend our network? Through chamber membership. Identify opportunities, keep your ear to the ground towards new opportunities, whether it's at your current company or, by expanding your network, you hear of opportunities coming up. Identify those opportunities. Definitely find a mentor if you don't have one currently. And I would say skills development is something ongoing. You should always have a plan for continuing education. Okay, you should always have a plan for continuing, whether it's Coursera and YouTube or something a bit more formal. We happen to live here. We are in Long Beach. What an amazing city that has LBCC. We have our community college here, right here in Long Beach. We have CSULB, right? I did my undergraduate work at CSULB. And we have Keller Graduate School of Management, right? Yes, go Beach. We have Keller and DeVry right here. We do offer graduate certificates, which are short-term learning programs. I'm in one right now. I'm in the big data grad certificate program. I have an MBA, but guess what? My MBA is from, I don't want to say how old it is. It's from a while ago, truth be told. So in a way, I need a refresher. So much has changed in organizational leadership theory over the years. And so in a way, for me, this is my refresher course. Are there courses of study that you would benefit from, that would be good on your resume, that would connect you to skills that are needed for your future growth? Okay. And certainly I would love to hear from you. We also, through the chamber, you have a discount, by the way, at Keller Graduate School of Management and DeVry. So that's always a thing. And your colleagues at your organization do as well. We also set up customized training that is faculty led. And I can also do my soft skills training for any organization, basically. Definitely, if you're a member of the chamber, I would be happy to discuss that with you. I'm going to just chat my contact information really quickly here as we go, because I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions about our degree programs or about our customized training programs, right? for, really it could be for your employees, it could be for your own clients, it could be for different, constituencies that you have, you know, um, at your own work. So we're happy to do that. We're all about, basically skills gap training, soft skills training, and just continuing education. We tend to have a more adult learner audience. And so that is what we do. And then these are my upcoming webinars, right? We're going to talk more about LinkedIn for career growth next Thursday. We're going to talk about elevating your career to the next level. It's really more about, we'll go deeper into being coachable and mentorship on the 29th. And then early February, we're going to talk about something different, just collaboration across generations, what we can learn from different generations, and sometimes what the challenges can be, but what the true gift is of this certain type of diversity at the workplace. And without further ado, I guess any questions from me before we wrap up? Oh my gosh.
I know, I didn't see any come through. You were just so thorough.
Yes, I answered every question preemptively. Yay. Yeah, no, if you can think of any questions, let me know. Let me know offline as well. I have my email in there. My phone number is there. You can reach me through the chamber as well. But I did want to just end by wishing everyone so much success in 2021.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Laura. Thank you for joining us and for taking the time. For all of our participants, just a reminder that this is 2 out of 8 of the webinars that we are doing in partnership with DeVry University. So the next one, as Laura mentioned, will be next Thursday at 10 a.m. on January 21st. And we're going to talk about LinkedIn for career growth. Looking forward to that one. But thank you so much, Laura.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you to the Long Beach Chamber. Thank you, Natalie and Amanda. Thanks for putting this together. And thank you, everyone who was able to attend. I appreciate you and I hope to see you at future events. Absolutely. Thank you, Judy.